Waiahole and Waikane are two fertile valleys situated next to each other between Kahalu'u and Kualoa on Oahu's windward side. From the highway, all we can see of these valleys are some papaya and banana patches, a few homes, country stores, and fruit stands. But beyond, into the mountains and valleys, are many small farms which grow, in addition to bananas and papayas, sweet potatoes, taro, Chinese peas, flowers, and foliage. About 95 families live here, and most are farmers. Several generations of families, in some cases, have cleared the land themselves, built homes, and planted crops. They have converted these valleys into productive agricultural lands. Although the tenants have cultivated the land and made it productive, most do not own their land, but lease it on a month-to-month basis from developer Joe Powell and landowner Mrs. Elizabeth Marks, heir to the McCandless estate, which has held title to the land since 1913. These valleys once produced taro and rice until the creation of the Waiahole Ditch Tunnel, which diverted vast amounts of water from the mountains to the dry leeward side. The founder of the McCandless estate, Lincoln Loy McCandless, came to Hawaii in 1887 to join his two brothers and their associates in a well drilling partnership specializing in drilling wells for the sugar plantations. The three brothers also became involved in island politics and land acquisition, especially Link, who had a special fondness for acquiring land. By 1914, he owned 37,000 acres of land on Oahu and Hawaii. Link's older brother, John, was a member of the Committee of 13, a group that aided in the overthrow of Queen Liliuokalani and the Hawaiian monarchy in 1893. That year, John McCandless became a senator in the Territorial Senate, and Link served his first of 6 years in the legislature. In 1903, Link McCandless lobbied through the Senate a complicated law called the Land Court System, which made it easy for the Bishop Trust Company and others to lay claim to native Hawaiian land by requiring Hawaiians to prove their land ownership. The land court system was expensive and complicated to use and required hiring the services of a lawyer, an abstractor of titles, a surveyor, and a judge. These expenses often exceeded $2,000, effectively ruling out most Hawaiians. By 1914, McCandless owned 6,000 acres in Waiahole and Waikane, most of it obtained from the native Hawaiians Kuleanas. In that same year, he sold his Waiahole-Waikane water rights to the Oahu sugar plantation for $250,000. The following year, the sugar company built the Waiahole Ditch Tunnel. McCandless maintained rights to the land below the 600-foot elevation. This is the land now held by his daughter, Mrs. Elizabeth Marks, who represents the McCandless estate. The land has always been zoned for agriculture, but on December 1, 1973, the McCandless heirs submitted a letter of intent to the Land Use Commission stating that they wanted to change some of their acreage from agriculture to urban. The Land Use Commission meets only once every 5 years, and the next hearing was scheduled for the following year, 1974. Valley residents heard rumors of possible development plans in April of 1974, but none knew specifically what was planned. Robert Fernandez, a lifetime resident of Waiahole Valley, heard the rumors of development and decided that it was necessary to inform and organize the residents of the valleys. Fernandez describes the beginnings of the Waiahole-Waikane Community Association.
There's all kinds of rumors going around throughout the valley. Waiahole-Waikane is a small place. a few of us within the community were quite active with the PTA and Kahalu Coalition, better planning for Kahalu. And we just decided, well, maybe we should get together with everybody else in the community and find out what's going on, So just by word of mouth, we just told our neighbors, hey, why don't we have a meeting and set up a meeting with the use of the cafeteria at the school. And we just got together and started exchanging information, And I had asked a friend of mine if he could check with the State Land Use Commission if there was any documents pertaining to Waiahole and Waikane. And lo and behold, they found a letter of intent that was to change the agricultural zoning, 1,337 acres of agricultural zone land to urban. It was a letter of intent to the Land Use Commission to come up to a hearing. My friend got the letter that day, and the night of the meeting, we just read it to the people, and that ended a lot of rumors. So, but in those days, I didn't even know who the State Land Use Commission was, what their powers were, what a public hearing was, what it was to get involved. We didn't know what to do. A lot of people started getting nervous because, when you're a tenant, you gotta abide by the laws of the landlord. And a lot of people felt, well, if he wants to change the zoning, there's nothing that we can do about it. But we just organized, got together, went to look for people who knew how to do this type of thing, who knew how to do surveys, got a lot of help from the University of Hawaii, and other people who were active in community affairs, and other organizations that had dealt with this before. And we got a heck of a lot of help, and that's how we started. At the end of our first meeting, we decided to have another meeting the next month, and decided to call ourselves the Waiahole and Waikane Community Association. Elected a board of directors at the the second meeting, and that's how we all started.
And then you went to see Joe Powell?
We found out Joe Powell was going to be the developer. Well, there was a lot of debate. Those early stages, a lot of people said it was Joe Powell, a lot of people said no, it wasn't. But fortunately, Joe Powell popped up as the developer. There was plans being drawn out for the landowners by one of the planners by the name of Mr. George Hofting, Community Planning Incorporated. It was really hard to get information. Like, you would ask them, well, who's the developer, Say, oh no, we're doing this plan for Mrs. Marks and her children, who are the landowners of this valley. Even prior to us getting organized, there was a person that came in and did a survey of all the households throughout the valleys. So I asked him to identify himself. He said, well, he's Dr. Anderson from the University of Hawaii. And he's doing a survey of Waiahole and Waikane. The doctor working out of an environmental firm. Environmental firm was hired by the planners. The planners were hired by the landowners. And in the background was Joe Powell. So finally we found out Joe Powell was the developer as time went on. And we went to meet with Mr. Joe Powell and asked him if he was the developer, what are your plans for the people who live on the land? And we told him, very bluntly that we didn't want to see that type of development within our valleys. This is our valleys. We lived here all our lives. Told us, we don't have any rights. It's not our land. Landowner can do whatever he wants with the land. And if the community didn't go along with him in the zoning change, that he would have no alternative but either to raise the rents up or kick us out. And today that's a fact. The rents have been raised to where, the people couldn't touch them. And in Waikane, Joe Powell has bought a portion of Waiahole and Waikane. He's bought Waikane. There, he's just evicting the people because he wants to move in with his development.
This was in September of 1974, a very political time, with a new governor to be elected. The WWCA realized that they would have to insist upon being listened to by government. A few days before the primary elections, the residents staged their first picket line downtown in front of the building which houses the McCandless Heir's office, then marched to the state capitol to meet with acting Governor George Ariyoshi. Gill and Fossey had already expressed their opposition to development in the valleys, but the residents didn't know Ariyoshi's position. Ariyoshi was unavailable, so they met with his assistant, Dan Aoki, who indicated that Ariyoshi was in support of preserving the agricultural lands. The next day, Ariyoshi confirmed that position, but stressed that he was legally unable to help them and suggested they prepare for the LUC hearing.
The same government was in support, but there was nothing legally that they could do. Of course, put the monkey right back on our shoulder and told us, well, you know, it's our duty to voice our opinion at whatever public hearings came out. And, well, that's what we did.
To prepare for the upcoming hearing, the group began to hold weekly meetings, set up basic goals, and hired a lawyer, Michael Hare. At an early community association meeting, Hare explained the tenants' rights to the residents.
If you live on a piece of property your entire life, or if your father and his father and his father's father lived on that land, and if they took that land from a marsh or from plain dirt that flooded in the winter, and if they took that land that was bad land and wasn't of use to anybody, and on that land they built a house, or if on that land they planted crops after draining the land, and they made that land productive, and where the land before couldn't be rented to anyone, and if before nobody would live on that land but the goats, and if the people did all of those things, made that land valuable, made that land productive, gave value to that land, if they did all of these things, what are their legal rights if they don't own the land? And that's what Senator Anderson let me tell you guys. And that's what Joe Paul wants me to tell you folks. And that's what Shola like here. And the answer is this. If you do all of those things, you get the right to a 28-day notice of eviction. 28 days, that's your legal rights. And if you go into a court of law, and if you tell a judge, what kind of system is that? That only gives us 28 days after we've done all that. The judge's going to say, that's the law.
The Land Use Commission continued the process of their 5-year boundary reclassification reviews. The McCandless Estate Waiahole and Waikane review was scheduled for October. By that time, the WWCA had adopted a 4-point plan regarding their goals for their community.
In our association, we took 4 basic positions. Number 1, that we get long-term leases within these valleys. We want homes. We want the land. Once we get the land, the lease, we can build our own homes. There's a lot of homes that are already built in Hawaii that people can't afford to buy them. And seems going to be the same situation here if they go through with this development. If you got the money, you'll survive. If you don't, well, you know, go live in public housing or go live off the government. Second position was, you know, expand agriculture. You know, make this valleys. These valleys are rich. You know, open it up to other farmers or whatever. You know, give the people of Hawaii more agricultural products. Third position was maintain our integrity. Over here, it's really different from other places. We feel, you know, you make it because you have friends. Like I said, you know, in the past and in the future, we still have to depend on each other. That's the type of integrity we want to maintain. Third position is proper planning. Windward, regional, and statewide planning with real community participation, the people who live on the land.
The LUC hearing was finally held on October 21st at King's School in Kaneohe. The cafeteria was packed with valley residents and others concerned with the fate of the two valleys. In 4 hours of testimony, residents described their land, lifestyles, histories of individual struggles to cultivate the land, and their desire to stay on it. In December 1974, the Land Use Commission unanimously rejected the McCandless request to rezone the valleys, and the first major victory was won by the tenants. Mrs. Marks arranged to swap some land with her children, the other McCandless estate heirs, in exchange for her sole ownership of the Waiahole and Waikane lands. This cleared the way for her sale of some Waikane land to developer Joe Powell. This is Enchanted Lakes, one of Powell's low-cost housing projects, presumably similar to his concept of what Waiahole and Waikane could become. Powell feels committed to providing low-cost housing to the people of Hawaii, yet the current market value of a 3-bedroom house on leasehold land in Enchanted Lakes is about $60,000 and $70,000 in his fee-simple Kailua Heights development. Powell's Waiahole and Waikane plans call for developing 491 acres in his first increment, which provides for 1,000 units. Mr. Powell indicated to us that because of the current legal battle with the Waiahole and Waikane Community Association, he could not make a public statement at this time, but he has stated in the past that he considers agriculture to have no place on Oahu, that it belongs exclusively on the neighbor islands. He plans to reapply to the Land Use Commission to change the zoning of 300 acres of Waikane land from agricultural to urban. If he is turned down again, he says that he will take advantage of a loophole in the land use law to divide his Waikane lands into 2-acre rural lots and build small estates on them, similar to haiku plantations, which is legal under the existing law. These homes would not fall within his low-cost housing category. There are 9 families on the Waikane land owned by Powell. They and 79 Waiahole families have received eviction notices as a result of April and May 1976 summary judgments declared by Judge Arthur Fong, which gave Mrs. Marks the green light to evict the tenants. And so the confrontation continues. Instead of complying with the mandate of the law, abandoning their farms and homes in search of somewhere else to live and some other means of support, the residents are determined to stay and defend the land. They are not moving, they say, even if police come to forcibly evict them. This militancy might seem out of place here in this farming community, but it is considered by the residents to be the only means of preserving their lives and the agricultural lifestyle they value. Pat Royos, one of the Waiahole residents, has this to say about being evicted.
We ain't moving. And,
So you don't even think about what you'd do if you had to leave?
We were taking every day as a natural day for us. You know, we're not moving. That's the thing. We're not moving.
Sei Serikaku has farmed in Waiahole Valley for 28 years. Do you ever imagine yourself to be the kind of person who would at one point have to stand up and defy the law and maybe, you know, do something that's against the law in order to...
I never dreamed of, you know, during the Vietnam War, I kind of thought these people were really crazy. But when getting to this fight, I find that a lot of things are justified. You know, the inequality of the privileged and the underprivileged is so wide that unless you get into it, you don't know. And another thing I found out is that the banks, the politicians, the bureaucrats, the developers, I'm finding out that they're so interwoven. It's actually disgusting.
We're going to have nonviolent resistance. It takes a lot for us to say that we're going to defy the law, but we feel we're justified. You know, we look back into history and, you know, what's it all about? Who are the people in the past who have defied laws for what was law at that time, but that law not necessarily was right. To form the unions, you know, what right did they have to tell a company that how much they should be paid? You know? they were, thrown in jail, and the militia was called out because of all these people getting together and making people nervous. And their heads were bashed in, and a couple of them died, to fight for rights for workers. But today, those days, the workers had no rights. Today, it's just, what's a union? What's a company without a union?
The residents feel that the early labor struggles for workers' rights are similar to their struggle at the present time. Many observers question the tenants' position that they have a right to the land when they don't hold legal title to it. There is a fundamental question being asked here. It is, are the laws relating to land acquisition and ownership serving the needs of the people in Hawaii, now and in the future? Link McCandless's land acquisition strategies are revealed at length in this front page issue of the Pacific Commercial Advertiser of October 29, 1908. The headlines read, "How Link Has Got Hold of the Homes of the Hawaiians, Startling Exhibit of the Number of Kuleanas the Democratic Land Grabber Has Added to His Vast Estate." It goes on to say, while Link the Land Baron has been at work on a scheme to get votes by promising government land, which he does not own and cannot control, to the Hawaiians, he has been steadily grasping kuleanas to add to his private barony of 6,000 acres. Most of the other land barons he attacks have had their holdings from the government, but Link has made a specialty of getting his from the natives, whom he now says he desires to help. Joe Royas feels that although he doesn't legally own the land, because of his commitment to it, he has a right to a say in its future. He feels that he is taking a moral stand for the future of Hawaii.
Well, to tell you the truth, these people in this valley, they clear this land on their own. They build their own house. The landlord never spent one penny. They do their maintenance. They pay their own land tax too. And when somebody gonna come over and just kick you out, you feel obligated to fight your own, on your own way life out. And besides that, we're trying to tell the state that these two valleys is so important to the people of Hawaii, not because we're staying over here, but because we're gonna save this land for the future. If we're talking about the future, we're talking about the food in your mouth, and that is really important to us. And we're trying to show the states that this is one of them valleys. Because if these valleys are no good, well, we won't fight back for this valley. We'll never fight back, we'll move out. But it's real good for the people of Hawaii, for our own people. And that's about the size of it. We're gonna fight back and try to keep it as it is.
Other evictions in Hawaii have set precedents concerning government responsibility to the tenants. The residents of Oda Camp refused to move until the government relocated them. State Senator Anson Chong comments.
There is hope. I don't think they have a guaranteed chance of remaining here, but I think there is hope because we do have precedents. The main precedence was when we went into Oda Camp and helped Pete Tagalog organize that 3-4 years ago, and the Chinatown eviction people need help also. But over here, I think because the government did take a stand and did assist the people at Oda Camp, I think the precedence is there for government to step in and assist the people, the long-time residents of this area.
The government can condemn Waiahole and Waikane for the state of Hawaii, which is the people. We feel that it'll cost maybe between 30 and 40 million at today's prices. Just across the way, maybe what we're looking at behind us, the city spent $5 million to purchase a park for the people. And I think that's darn good. I think if they didn't purchase it, sooner or later there'll be hotels springing up over there. Well, open space is very important to the people of Hawaii, not only to the people who live within Waiahole and Waikane. And I think people enjoy coming to the windward side to visit the country. And here we have country. I think it would be a good idea for the government to condemn these lands, or at least take a master lease on it and expand agriculture in these valleys. Give the people long-term leases protect agriculture, let the people who are tenants stay on this land. There's different programs that could be worked out. If the homes are not suitable, as the city says, you know, a lot of homes throughout Hawaii, even our state prison isn't. Well, there's different programs that could be worked out with the people. I think there's a possibility of making a park. Well, this is a park where we're at right now. It's not much of a park, but it's enjoyed by different people. Not everybody likes to go to Ala Moana Park. You know, some people like to come down here to go catch shrimp or crabs, or you know, go fishing for mullets. And some people enjoy mud flats. You know, they don't. Not all people enjoy white sand. You know, it's a different type of lifestyle. And just this small park, man, every weekend it's packed. You know, but it's not packed by the type of people that go to Ala Moana. You know, Filipino people, Hawaiian people come down here. They enjoy this kind of, you know, park. And I think there's more people who would enjoy this place if it was made open.
The residents of Waiahole and Waikane know that the law is not on their side. They say that their fight is a political one, not a legal one.
You know, we lost in court, and the law is the law. That's why we fought it, always fought it politically. We knew we would lose in court, because the law is very stamped, man. It's closed and dried. You get 28-day notice that your rent's gonna be raised. The end of those 28 days, if you can't meet the demands of the landowner, then you have to leave. But if the landowner wants his land back, all he has to do is give you a 28-day notice. And you gotta give him his land back, because it's not yours.
Pete Thompson has been involved in this struggle since its beginning. He comments on the legal aspect of their situation.
Legally, we've been in the exact same position from the beginning to right now, which is we have no rights. Legally, the only right we have ever had in this struggle is 28 days notice to get out of here. And that has never changed, you know, from that time till now, you know. And that's our only legal right. And we knew that way back then. We knew we weren't going to win this struggle legally. The only way we're going to win is politically, by uniting a lot of people and forcing these guys. I think in the early years, we had people uniting with us because, well, 2 green valleys and didn't want to see the lifestyle destroyed. And still yet today, a lot of people unite with us for those reasons, and that's cool. But if people don't have a deeper understanding of the struggle, then I don't think they're going to make a deeper kind of commitment. I figure you're here fighting against these rich guys, and, you know, like, we got rights. You know, we feel that we have rights. We want to live here. These are our only homes. You know, we know what it's going to be like moving on the outside. And if you know that, you know, you're really serious about wanting to fight those guys and fight against what they're going to do to us, then you're probably willing to take a real strong commitment. But if you understand the fight in those terms, but if you understand it just in purely lifestyle terms, just in purely 2 Green Valley terms, hell, I'm not willing to die for these 2 Green Valleys, but for some of the people here, yeah. You know, that's where my stand is.
The tenants of Waiahole and Waikane are currently gathering a larger base of support from other groups which view themselves as similarly victimized. For instance, the Unemployed Workers Organizing Committee and other groups struggling against eviction threats. Bus drivers, public workers, students, and community organizations are now working for or publicly supporting this group. According to the Waiahole Waikane Community Association, 30 bulldozer drivers have declared that they will refuse to drive in Waikane. The Waiahole Waikane focus at present is that of unity through public support, a political struggle rather than a legal one. Calvin Ho of the Waiahole Waikane Community Association explains the importance of public support.
And when they come and tell us to go out, we ain't moving. And that's why we're getting people here, because we need people to come down and help us. When it comes to that day, we're not moving, and we need people to come down here bodily and even risk arrest with us, because there's no way they're going to move all these people out, and especially if we have some more supporters coming down.
If the valleys are developed, what will become of the residents?
I have to find some other job, you know. Land is simply not available anymore, farmland that is, on Oahu. And I don't have any other skills, so whatever job I find, it has to going to be a menial kind of type of job, and I'm sure I'm not going to be happy.
The tenants are concerned about the effects of eviction on family life.
Some of these guys here get 6 kids, unemployed, but they're not under welfare. But they're still trying to make ends meet. And if you're gonna evict those kind of people, nowadays in Hawaii, you cannot go out and try to knock on somebody's door with 6 kids and a wife, with no job.
You have to think.
Because we're just a bunch of human beings down here too. We want to live happily. We don't make no trouble. It's our happiness what we're living for. And if you're gonna take out from our happiness, well, that's trouble. Because that's like anybody else.
But when you lose that land, don't forget, you're losing a house, plus you're losing a home. Everybody's life is going to be disrupted. Not only the adults' life, the children's life. They got to go to a different school. They got to make new friends. They got to adapt to different environments. You know, it hurts everybody.
The development of Waiahole and Waikane Valleys would have an effect on the community at large, as well as the rest of Oahu. Presently, 82% of Oahu's sweet potatoes and 30% of Oahu's papayas come from these valleys. The windward side is responsible for 55% of Oahu's fruit orchards, vegetable fields, and water crops. Most of these crops require the unique soil and climatic conditions of windward, not found on other parts of Oahu. All of the windward agriculture would suffer the consequences of development in Waiahole, Waikane. Under POW's plan, Kahekili and Cam highways would be scheduled for expansion into 6-lane highways in order to accommodate the 20,000 people who will fill his Waiahole Waikane units over 3 5-year increments. With the widening of highways comes more development creeping up the coastline. What will we have left to show the tourists on their Circle Island trips? Wider highways and the possibility of the TH3 to accompany them, real estate taxes and accompanying urbanization will eliminate much of the commercial farming operations on the entire windward side. Suitable replacement sites, according to a TH3 study conducted by the Department of Transportation, are severely limited, if existing at all. The Department of Transportation study, conducted in 1974, also states that family breakdown, including separation, divorce, desertion, and runaway children, can be expected to increase. More children will lack suitable parental care and supervision. Rates of adult crime and juvenile delinquency can be expected to increase. Elderly persons will become more and more isolated. Additionally, according to this study, there will be an increase in the number of people who will, quote, become emotionally upset and ill because of the disruption of long-standing living patterns, loss of traditional security, population pressures, ethnic conflicts, relocations, and competitive work situations. Altogether, it is not a very happy prospect, unquote. Unable to arrive at a compromise, negotiations between Mrs. Marks and the Tenants Association came to a halt on December 28, 1976. On January 3, 1977, eviction notices were served and the tenants and their supporters began to implement their plan for nonviolent resistance of any eviction attempts. Even though uncertain of their future, Bobby Fernandez believes that much has been learned by the Waiahole and Waikane Valley people.
We've learned a lot. We've learned what different government agencies do, what their duties are, how they do and don't perform their duties. I think they've learned a hell of a lot about politics. And I think that's the biggest lesson that I've taken. And it's hard to believe when you just hear it from somebody else, but to actually go in and be a part of it and learn by yourself, and experience it, then you know what the truth is. And I think it's really a shame, you know, that the way politics work is just for individuals, and it's just for who you know, and it's, you know, not, you know, it's not servicing, you know, it's not servicing the poor people, it's not servicing the lower echelon or the guys on the lower portion of the totem pole. And, you know, I think it's really sad. But I think the people don't just roll over and die, you know, they fight back. And it took a heck of a lot for us to do that because, you know, we're different. We're in a country and, you know, we're away from it all, and nobody gets involved with what's happening until this thing hit us. And when we got involved deeply. We had a hell of a lot to learn, and I think we've taken our lessons. I think we've taken them well, and we're not gonna give up. That's the most important thing. I think the people feel that, you know, nobody's giving up, and when you depend on somebody when you first started, there's no dependency upon government. There's no dependency upon a politician. There's no dependency on a group of politicians. Our dependency has always been upon ourselves, one another. That's the only way.
Now it is time for us to stand. Wa mau ke ea, ika aina, ina o pio.